and welcome to the Tuesday Total Soccer Show. I am Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who photographs surprisingly well. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hi. Thanks for that, I think.
That was just to throw you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we recently had some, I want to call them publicity photos taken, essentially, right?
Yeah.
To help with promotion of the Total Soccer Show, including the upcoming trivia night.
And our indie record that we're putting out, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a few of those in there, too.
We did that half joking, half serious. We had one leaning up on the roof, like the Beatles on top of Abbey Road on the wall. It actually weirdly came out kind of well.
It did.
But it does look like we're about to drop our first album.
There is that. It's also, we didn't really have the flat surfaces that the Beatles had for Abbey Road, so we're a little bit more like sitting up on ledges, trying not to fall off the side of a building.
There's one, so we'll release these photos slowly but surely. Yeah. There's one where I'm definitely holding on for dear life to the ladder because I'm terrified of
trying to look casual at the same time.
Yeah.
It's an easy look to pull off.
John Lennon didn't do that while he was singing Don't Let Me Down.
Not so much.
On today's show, we're not just going to talk photography. Thank you to Stephanie for taking photos as well. We're going to talk listener questions. We have 4 listener questions to answer today and some scouting reports later on. You want to get straight to it?
I want to get straight to it.
We're nothing if not enthusiastic, right? On the Total Soccer Show.
Indeed.
First question comes from Ryan Hand. Ryan says, if wishing could make it so and money wasn't an object, I love the premise of this question already, and you could wave your wand and make it happen, what 10 players that are currently in the Champions League round of 16 would you move to what 10 MLS teams? So we are like super commissioner for the day. We can take any of the players that are in the Champions League round of 16, stick them on an MLS team.
Yeah, because worth noting, this question came through before some teams have been eliminated, so this is at the initial round of 16 when everybody was still possibly alive.
Yeah, majority of the glamour teams are still there, right? Okay, so we can't do 10 each because that would take a long time. We're roughly going to do 5 each. I don't know who you've chosen, you don't know who I've chosen. So let's work this out back and forth and see how we do.
I'll go first, and I'll go first in the alphabet, at least in the East. Atlanta United. I want somebody who can play in that, quick tempo, high pressure passing system. I want somebody who can take set pieces, and most importantly, I want a non-Spanish speaker who's going to score goals to ruin your prediction. I want Neymar at Atlanta United.
That is not fair. I actually think that's a bad idea.
Why is that?
Because Andrew Carlton also plays left side of attack. So you'll be putting one of the world's greatest players in Andrew Carlton's way.
Yeah, it's fine. Andrew Carlton, I'm guessing he's going to have more time with Charleston this season than with Atlanta, so that doesn't really mess things up too much.
And maybe it'll make him up his game. If you've got to get Neymar at the team, you've got to try real hard.
Yeah,
he won't get
real hard.
All right, I'll go with the other expansion team.
Andrew Carlton not yet in a XXX sequel, so I think he's got some ground to cover.
I'll go with another expansion team.
Yep.
Minnesota United. We did a bit of analysis on their 6-1 defeat at the hands of Atlanta.
If you whisper, that makes it worse or better?
It actually does make it worse. Right? Meant to make it better. I thought they need something extra in defence, right? I don't think they're not going to get any more organised, but they do need someone a bit faster. Demidov looked a little slow. I'm going to give them John Stones from Manchester City. So it'll still be the same wild, disorganised defending, but at least one, John Stones will be young and fast and good at that wild, disorganised defending. He mostly pulls it off, right?
Yep.
And 2, he'll have time to grow with the team. So by the time 2-3 years from now when they're really, really good, he'll still be just mid-20s.
Well,
right? It's a long-term signing.
But I think what Minnesota United might need, and I think you would agree based on what you said immediately following that game, maybe they need a little bit more discipline. They need a little bit more structure. I've kind of bypassed this a little bit. I've gone for a former player, but I think they need a coach. And I think that coach is Diego Simeone. Because there is no way that you're going to have any sort of ill discipline. Everyone's going to do exactly what they need to do. Because even in that snow, he's wearing all black, so he's going to be very visible.
True.
And he will let you know if he is not happy.
So if you see Diego Simeone shopping for a big coat, you know that this move is on. And I guess Adrian Heath would take over Atletico Madrid?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they'd be fine with that.
Okay, I'm going to go closer to home for my next one, though. We saw DC United the opening week of the season. We saw bits of them in the second week of the season. They seem to be thinking that they've got lots of attack on the wings through Lloyd Sam and Patrick Nyarko. It isn't really working for me.
No, it is not.
So I'm going to give them Gareth Bale from Real Madrid. He gives them something really special. Can play either wing. And when Luciano Acosta, is inevitably injured, as he is right now, he can also play the number 10 role. So Gareth Bale's the attacking solution for DC United.
I had the same thought, and I was initially going to do Christian Pulisic out wide for them. But I was thinking, though, I think you're right that I
haven't done that because I don't want to ruin his career yet.
Okay.
I want him to succeed in Europe before he comes back.
I don't want to ruin it yet. But I was thinking, I also wasn't so convinced. Maybe this is the sign of things that are wrong at DC. I wasn't really convinced by the center of their midfield either, at least when we saw them.
Yeah.
It wasn't as solid. Then Ian Hartz did start the second week. Again, I think had a little bit of transition problems there. I want somebody who can come in right away, impact that center midfield, but keeps that kind of South American tradition alive.
Okay.
I want Arturo Vidal at DC United. Wow. Up and down, box to box, will destroy other players, will score goals from distance, will keep everybody performing well and up on their toes.
He would look awesome in DC United black and red.
Yes, he would.
He really would, yeah, tearing up and down the field. Okay, I like it. All right, who we got next?
I've got another one that I think is going to make you very happy, but I'll save it.
Okay, next one I've got is Toronto FC. I've enjoyed their back three, but it sometimes needs, could sometimes do with a bit of something extra. I'm going to give them Giorgio Chiellini from Juventus to play in their back three, to bring that sort of Conte-era Juventus tradition of the back three to Toronto FC.
Yep, okay, I like that.
He link up with his old buddy Giovinco as well.
If we're going to stick with center backs then, this one I don't think Portland fans would be so thrilled with. But we know Portland maybe could use a couple center backs in there. And this one is maybe actually realistic, even though I think he's headed for China. Okay. It's Pepe. Yeah, because they need a center back. Pepe can play center back. We know that pretty well. But I also love the idea. Can you imagine how terrifying Portland would be on set pieces and corners if you had Addy and Pepe in there? We already have the Addy Smash. I want Pepe in there. I want the Bash Brothers.
They'd be challenging each other.
Yep. Modern day Bash Brothers from Mighty Ducks.
They'll be the Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Perfect. Well done.
I'm losing count of how many we're doing here.
I think I've done 4. Maybe you've done 3.
Okay. I'm going to say that New York Red Bulls, we noticed that they were definitely missing Dax McCarty.
Okay.
The guy they could bring in to play the Dax McCarty role, but in an even more advanced, better, classier kind of way. Marco Verratti from PSG.
I figured you'd get him in there somewhere.
Imagine Marco Verratti at Red Bull Arena, stringing passes together, pulling the strings for New York Red Bulls. It would be Bradley Wright Phillips' birthday every single day.
I'm going to do a 5th one, but then I'm going to do one more on top of that. Since you've done the New York Red Bulls, I also felt like maybe they were missing that second striker. They need another attacking option. I already have that prediction that they're going to go after somebody in the summer. And I say, why not make it Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? You need a dynamic goal scorer to play off BWP? That seems like him.
All right, well, since we're doing this then, I think Orlando City could do with Robert Lewandowski to replace Kyle Larin.
Yeah, sure.
So it would really lessen the blow of losing Kyle Larin when he eventually gets picked up by a bigger team,
I was
really
racking my brain for did something happen? Have I forgotten that Kyle Larin is
No, but it seems
injured?
to be everyone's predicting Larin will leave at some point in the very near future because there's just too much potential there. Someone's going to swoop in, right? But if you've got Lewandowski replacing him, you'd be like, okay, I can handle this.
Okay, here's one, but my final one, except I've got a couple more, but my final one that I'm pretty excited about is one that, again, I think there's a very small percentage chance that a move like this could actually happen.
Yeah.
But FC Dallas, without Mauro Diaz, we know he's out for most of this season.
Yeah.
So you do a 1-year loan for an older player who maybe is already kind of only getting limited minutes with his club, Andres Iniesta to FC Dallas. Can you imagine that? Yeah.
It's a temporary Diaz.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Just for one season.
I would love to see Iniesta play somewhere else just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure he'd do well in MLS.
Yeah, I think so. You think?
He'd
be all right?
He'd be moving that ball. All right, my final one then is the LA Galaxy. I think
I had a Galaxy one too.
From what I saw, they really do need a goal scorer because Gio dos Santos is this great sort of withdrawn type player. You know what I mean? He's not necessarily going to score 25, 30 goals a season. Robbie Keane has gone. Jack McBean, I think, was playing there over the weekend. Jesse Zardes is out injured. Long story short, Luis Suarez should play for the LA Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, sure. I went similar. I had Edson Cavani because they need a proven goal scorer and because he wants to be as far away from Paris as possible at present. I'm pretty sure that seems like Los Angeles.
That's pretty far.
Yeah.
All right. So is that 10 between us?
It's more than 10, I think.
Okay.
I think I've done more than my share, yeah.
All right, well, let's wave our wands, stop waving our wands, put them down. No more magical transfers of round of 16 players to Major League Soccer.
Fine.
All right, second question comes from Ira Jersey and Isaac Jersey. This is a really interesting one. Ira says, Isaac will be a mascot at the March 18th West Brom v Arsenal match at the Hawthorns. He ages out, so this is his last chance. Just so everybody's clear, mascot is not when you wear the bear suit or whatever. Mascot is when you're one of, you know what I'm saying? You're one of the kids that walks out with the players.
Why a bear suit? Why did you go with the bear suit?
I don't know, a kangaroo?
Guttersaurus would have been one as well?
Yeah, or a dinosaur suit.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's not that kind of mascot.
Yeah.
It's the other kind of mascot, the kids that walk out with the players. So, in honour of this, Ira would like to hear our very specific predictions for this match.
All right.
So this is this Saturday. I think it's the 8:30 a.m. game. That's what time we'd have to get up to see if our predictions come true. Ira and Isaac will be there at the Hawthorns.
They will.
You want to go first?
Sure. I'll go first, and I've gone with an Arsenal prediction. I think Arsenal will continue their decent run of form after smashing Lincoln City. That's the start of their run of form.
I can see they're on a great one-match run.
Yeah, exactly. They're 100% in the last one games. And they did start with a front three that featured both Olivier Giroud and Alexis Sanchez. I don't know if they will keep that going. I think maybe there's a chance that Olivier Giroud comes in as a late game substitute.
Yeah.
Or maybe they start lumping the ball into the box if he does start because they get a little bit desperate. Uh-huh. So I'm going to say Olivier Giroud scores in this game after the 65th minute.
Giroud to score after the 65th
Which is the minute that he was subbed out in the Lincoln City game.
Oh, so you're hoping for a reverse in the league game. Okay, that's interesting.
Or I'm giving them something to laugh about hysterically when he scores in the first 2 minutes and then is subbed out at halftime or something like that. Yes.
Or Sanchez subs in for him and scores in the 66th.
That wouldn't be fine. That would not be okay with me.
Speaking of lumping it into the box, I've gone for
West Brom.
West Brom's Venezuelan striker, Salomon Rondon.
Yep.
In December, he scored a hat-trick of headed goals. We know he is an aerial threat. Then he went 12 games without a goal. He was dropped in West Brom's last game. Dropped because he hasn't scored. I think he'll be back to face Arsenal, and I think West Brom will get a goal, I'm going to phrase this very carefully, via the head of Salomon Rondon, which means it could be him heading it home at the far post.
Oh,
it could be him knocking it down for Brunt to rush onto. You know what I mean? It could be just an assist he gets with his head, but there will be a goal and it will involve Salomon Rondon's head because Tony Pulis loves a ball in the box. Salomon Rondon loves to head a ball down. Arsenal can sometimes be that team that panics if you start doing that to them.
I'm super excited for when we come in on Monday and Daryl tries to explain how a Salomon Rondon header 4 minutes before West Brom scored is actually what led to the goal.
I wouldn't try that. I wouldn't do anything beyond 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
There it is. Well said.
We'll have to set the DVR to make sure we can track that whole.
All right, sounds like a plan.
I wanted to take a guess of which player Isaac will get to walk out with. I'm going to go Mustafi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's kind of like a 1 in 22 chance, but why not, right?
Yeah, I think because I've always had a soft spot for Johnny Evans or Darren Fletcher. I think either one of those would be fine.
So any ex-Man United player?
Yeah, but I think for Isaac, I'm sure it'd probably be more exciting to get somebody like, say, Alexis Sanchez, maybe Olivier Giroud as well. But I'm going to say Alexis Sanchez. I'm going to say he gets the big name, the biggest name there. Maybe Mesut Ozil.
Sanchez.
Yeah,
and you could ask him. You can ask him what's going on with Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, new contract. What's up?
Isaac, don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
Get in all kinds of trouble.
Or I don't know. I mean, they're Red Bulls fans, right? Maybe they try to convince him to come to New York.
Okay. I do have another very specific prediction.
Yep.
If you're getting the train from the centre of town, you get on at Snow Hill, you go past the Jewellery Quarter, and then you get off at the Hawthorn. So 2 stops from the centre of town till you get to the stadium.
We get it. It's your hometown.
It's also kind of Ira's hometown because he lived there for a while as well.
I'm not sure that's what constitutes a hometown as living there for a while, but yeah, sure, why not?
Richmond's my hometown now.
Is it?
Yeah.
You've decided that.
I write it on the phone. Hometown Richmond.
Okay.
Right,
it's a strange accent to have for Richmond being your hometown.
We have 2 more questions plus some scouting reports for you. But first, we should let you know that today's show is sponsored by Health IQ. Health IQ is the life insurance company that wants to give financial rewards to health-conscious people.
That's right. They've partnered with major life insurance companies to get lower rates for people with a healthy lifestyle. They've used science and data to fight for lower rates on life insurance for health-conscious people, including soccer players, runners, cyclists, weightlifters, swimmers, vegans, vegetarians, etc.
So the way this works is normal life insurance companies will essentially look at your sort of medical history, look at your weight, all that kind of stuff, and they will penalise you. They will say, because of this, you pay more. Because of this, you pay more. Health IQ does it the other way around. They look for the healthy things that you do, and they say, because of this, you pay less. Because of this, you pay less. And one of the things they want to get to is people who play soccer are healthy. Okay. That is a fact. People who play soccer are healthy. But because of that athletic build, sometimes you have a high BMI, which is kind of unearned, right?
Yeah.
And we prove this by looking at
body mass index.
Body mass index, sorry. And it's basically height divided by weight in some form, right?
Yep.
So we looked at some famous soccer players. Obviously, famous soccer players playing top-flight soccer are not overweight. BMI disagrees.
Yeah.
So you got some examples there? We wrote some down when we
I think personally the most insane one to me, because I've seen ESPN Body Issue, I've seen Tim Howard more or less as he is.
Yeah. Not an ounce of fat, right?
No, and yet, according to this, his BMI would make him overweight. He's got a 26.1 because he's 209 pounds. He's 6'3".
Yep.
Somehow that makes him overweight, even though Tim Howard decidedly not overweight. And if he is, I want to be that level of overweight. Then I would be fine with being that amount of overweight.
Similarly, Romelu Lukaku
that's another
is
one.
6'3" and 207 pounds. BMI says he's 25.9 BMI. That puts him overweight as well. You ask some Premier League defenders, is Romelu Lukaku overweight? They will say no.
Right. And even both of them, they're both 6'3", both of those players we mentioned.
Right.
So it's not even that just super tall people have this issue. Jordan Morris, 5'11", 185 pounds. That makes him technically overweight according to the BMI.
Yep.
So then that could even be a problem for him. And we know Jordan Morris, not exactly overweight, very much fit and fast.
And even if you're not quite in as good a shape as Jordan Morris, Tim Howard, Romelu Lukaku, if you are a soccer player, you may have a higher BMI, but that means that Health IQ will not penalise you for that because they use a different measurement system that takes into account the athletic body shape.
There we are. So go to healthiq.com/TSS. That's all together, all lowercase, to take a quiz and get a quote. Explain the importance of the quiz, Mr. Grove.
So when you go to healthiq.com/TSS, you can put in some information about what you do. Then you can do a soccer quiz, for example. The more questions you get right, we did a couple of test questions, right? You got both right. The more questions you got right, the more you prove that you know about soccer, that you have a healthy lifestyle. You can take a quiz on diet, you can take a quiz on things like that, and then that ups your Health IQ score, which then you can take to life insurance people and ask for the biggest possible discount.
It's also just fun to take the quiz to prove that you have knowledge of things.
You only said that because you got it right.
Yeah, maybe. What of it?
So once again, the URL is www.healthiq.com/TSS. The link will be in the show notes. Go to that URL, take the quiz, get yourself a quote.
Alrighty. Next question, Mr. Grove, comes from John Adams. Would you like me to take that one, or do you want to go with it?
You go for it.
All right. John is scouting Sheon Harrison, a young Spurs striker on loan with Yeovil.
So that's in the Top Soccer Scouting Network, yep.
Sheon, at most youth levels, has played as a striker up top, either alone or paired with a strike partner, but rarely played out wide. When he comes on for Yeovil, it seems like they already have an established striking pecking order, which usually has forced Harrison to play out wide, as we said, not where he's kind of used to playing.
Yeah, and it's not going well. This loan is not going well because of that.
Right. So John says, my question is, do you think there are certain positions that are more conducive to players being able to advance their game and develop into first-team top-flight footballers, or is it more of a case-by-case basis based on the player?
So that's interesting. I can think about this. I'm not sure there's a 100% correct answer.
Yeah.
Because if you are a striker, right, say, and you have also the attributes to play on the wing, I'm thinking of Marcus Rashford.
Right.
Then you will get minutes, right? But maybe if you're Sheon Harrison, it seems in this situation, he doesn't quite have the attributes to succeed on the wing, so that's not working out for him.
Right. But I think that's also because, again, it's really easy to take a very simplified idea of, he's young, he's fast, he can score goals, he's kind of good with his feet, so we'll put him out wide and he'll be able to do all of those things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take into account all of the discipline and preparation that goes into playing any position on the field. It can be right back, it can be left back, center back, out wide, in the middle, whatever it is. It all takes a lot of learning and education. And that's why, I used to, when I first started watching soccer, I would just be like, he's really good because he's fast and he's exciting. That does not translate into can execute the game plan properly, can do what's asked of him. And I think that's where you can get into trouble with these types of players.
So we said it's not so much about the position you play as maybe about your mental and talent skill set, right? The more places you are applicable, the more chance you'll get to play.
Yes, I think that there are certain little truths in there, however.
Okay.
I would say, for example, to go back to Iniesta or Xavi, players like that, I think it was pretty obvious from an early age that they were going to be very good.
Right.
And I think a big part of that is because if you put a young player in the center of midfield and they can handle that responsibility, if those players have that sort of IQ evident that they can know how to receive the ball, turn and play it forward. They know how to distribute the ball wide and bring it back inside. If they can do all of those sort of things, then I think that points to they'll be able to do it at an increasingly high level.
But counter to that, right, that works at Barcelona, where they definitely had this system of, we're going to move the ball, we're going to play possession. What if they played for a Tony Pulis team, right? Iniesta would be like, a 17, 18, 19-year-old Iniesta would be like, sorry, kid, you're real nice on the ball, but you're just too small. We need someone who's a bit more of a bruiser.
I mean, we've heard that from countless players, that they had trials with this team and this team and this team, all of whom said, no, you're too small, that's not really going to work for us, and then they've gone on to bigger and better things.
Right. So, it really, I think basically you need a bit of luck. You need your skill set to fit the current situation that you're in. I would also say, though, you can make it to your advantage where if you have a wide skill set, then you can then drop in any position as a young player where there's a hole in the team.
Right.
I remember the example I've got is Steven Gerrard, a young Steven Gerrard, I think maybe 18 or so, started playing for Liverpool at right back. just because he's like this all-round midfielder. He's got strength, he's got pace, he can tackle, he can cross, he can get forward. So he's an easy guy to fill in at right back. Then later on, he played some right midfield. He would get a bit farther forward, and as he sort of aged up and up and up, suddenly they put him in central midfield, and then he just locks that down and he owns that for 50 years for Liverpool FC.
Right. So I think what we've landed upon is, unless you are an exceptionally world-class player, it's a case-by-case situation.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Or you need to just get a bit of luck in terms of the situation you're in. The one thing I say, that this doesn't work with Shane Harrison as well, you want it to be like a low-risk proposition, right? You're not going to get... the manager's not going to risk you at centre midfield if you are likely to lose the ball or get knocked over.
Right.
Because it's a little closer to goal. They're not going to risk you at centre-back. But maybe they'd risk you at centre-forward. So it just seems like Shane Harrison is unlucky here because it's an easier place to take a chance on someone, right?
I think so. I mean, by the same token, if you are like Shane Harrison and there's already an established pecking order, or say, I'm not saying this is the case for him, but say you do get a couple games and nothing happens and you don't get those goals, then I think it's easy for a manager to say, look, he's a striker, he's not scoring, I'm going to drop him and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whereas a defensive midfielder, maybe, if they aren't scoring goals, less of a big deal, right? Because, it's less obvious unless, as you said, they are just giving the ball away to the opposition.
All right. Well, I really want things to go well for Shane Harrison.
As do I.
Fingers crossed.
As do Spurs fans, I would guess.
And Yeovil fans, I would guess. They'd be happy if he started scoring.
Come on, you Glovers.
All right, final question on today's show comes from Mark Bujarski. Mark says, so I, like many, have loved the Starting 11 shows. What's the most recent one we did?
I have no idea.
It's been a while, right?
Always Sunny.
Always Sunny, of course we did the Always Sunny 11. Mark says, I thought it would be interesting to hear your guys referee starting 11s.
So I know we've split this up. I'll let you get to the defensive side of this team in just a second. But for those who aren't familiar, essentially we try to come up with, usually we each pick 11 players in 11 different positions.
And we argue it for who should be starting.
So Always Sunny, we have 11 different characters in different positions for any number of reasons. In this case,
it takes like 45 minutes.
It does. In this case, we're going to do the accelerated, abbreviated version as much as we can. Daryl's going to do the defense and defensive midfield. I'm going to do the attack and the coach.
Okay. Do you want me to start then from the back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in goal for the referee 11 is Jorge Lorianda. Jorge Lorianda is the referee in the England v Germany game at the 2010 World Cup. He ruled that the Frank Lampard goal that definitely went over the line was not over the line. So that's why he's my goalkeeper, because he can keep out even obvious goals.
I like it. More on England and Germany referees later on in this segment.
Oh, and I have a backup goalkeeper. It's Koman Koulibaly, the Malian referee who refereed the USA versus Slovenia and ruled out Maurice Etu's goal for no good reason. He's also good at keeping out definite goals.
Yeah. Just trying to keep things interesting, that's all. Yeah.
My centre-backs. First centre-back has to be the one and only Pierre Luigi Collina. So many reasons for this guy. First is his tactical preparation.
Okay.
So I've heard from, I think it was Graham Poll when he was the fourth official with Collina. He said that he sat down his refereeing team, Collina, gave them a tactical breakdown of what was about to happen in that game, the types of runs that players would make, the types of aggressive things they would do. Like, he was as good as any coach. So this guy comes prepared with a game plan. He's my vote for captain. He knows what's going on. Yeah. He's also a guy that is never, ever intimidated by big name players. Apparently, he used to not call players by their name. Like, he would call Leo Messi number 10. You know what I'm saying? So he's never intimidated by an opposition striker.
That was routine. Yeah, it was always by the number, not the name. And I think from what I've read, and did that intentionally to keep, like, not just to not like be like bowled over by being starstruck, but also just to keep that sort of disconnect between personal life and professional life.
So that's why Collina is my first choice at centre back.
Can I also add, best referee of all time? Would you say?
It feels like it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really hard thing to judge, but that just seems to be the consensus. I mean, you can't really name any massive high-profile errors or meltdowns or anything.
No.
Yeah,
he good.
He good. So alongside Pierluigi Collina at centre-back, I've gone with Martin Atkinson.
Okay.
Two reasons. Atkinson was famous, especially early in his career, this is based on my research, not from any sort of pre-existing knowledge, for not giving out yellow cards or red cards very often. So I think of him as like a Paolo Maldini type player. So he's like shutting things down early before you have to go to the emergency measures.
Okay.
That's a good calm centre-back to have. He's also very good at shutting down attacks. As David Moyes learned in 2010, it was Everton 3, Manchester United 3, it was into injury time. Everton was serving the ball into the box, right? You're supposed to wait until the play's dead before you blow the final whistle. He called the game over mid-Everton attack. He shut down that Everton attack.
There's another... Is that all your reasons?
That's why he's a centre-back.
There's another one who almost made my list, but I was doing the attacking players, and it was the referee, I think it was Brazil 70 or Brazil 78, and it was a Zico, like just a straight-up goal that he disallowed. It came off of a corner, and he called, like, blew play dead in the middle of the corner for halftime. Like, as the corner was kicked, and then it gets headed in, but he had already blown the whistle, so it's disallowed.
Yeah,
I think it might have been an English ref who did that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologise.
Yeah, as well you should.
Speaking of English refs, my left back is Graham Poll. Ever since the 2006 World Cup,
Graham.
When he gave 3 yellow cards to Josep Simonic, which should not be possible, he has had to wear the number 3, so he may as well play left back. My right back...
That's outstanding. That's outstanding work, Daryl Grove.
My right back is Andre Marina. Andre Marina is the guy that famously sent off Kieran Gibbs when he meant to send off Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's right back because I may not trust him to necessarily mark the right man, but he will make a decision early and go with it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. You want that sort of early decision-making. Otherwise, you get in trouble. Like setting off the wrong player.
He's definitely the wild card in this back four. Shielding my defence is Uriah Rennie. Do you remember Uriah Rennie?
No.
So he's a referee in the Premier League. He's retired now. But he was very self-confident. That was not an issue. Kind of a big dude.
Okay.
He is a guy who stopped Roy Keane going after Jason McAteer. Like McAteer, I think Roy Keane had been like dribbling out. McAteer was fouling him. Finally, I think Rennie whistles for free kick. Keane goes for McAteer. Rennie steps in between and holds him back. This is a man who successfully held back Roy Keane. Probably saved Jason McAteer's life.
That's the rough equivalent of holding back 7 like rabid pit bulls.
Yeah,
is that
exactly.
about right? Yeah, okay.
That's why he's my holding midfielder.
That's well done. Switching to the attack side, at attacking midfield, I've gone for Byron Moreno, who you may not know by his first name, but you might know as the worst referee in the world. At least that's what he was dubbed by the Italian press. He was the referee for the Korea-Italy game in 2002. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
That gasp. If you've forgotten it, you should just go. There's like so many different YouTube compilations of this. It really is the worst officiated game I've ever seen. That's the one where Francesco Totti gets booked for diving, even though there's contact. There's tons of different disallowed goals and very poor performances. So he's going to keep things interesting. He's going to keep things going. He's not going to slow things down at all.
Certainly creative.
Yeah. He's also he's not afraid to get creative in order to obtain a win. He then went back. He's Ecuadorian. He went back to referee in Ecuador. He, in one game, said there's going to be 6 minutes of added time. Let it be 13. And in that time, the team from Quito, where he was running for office, scored 2 goals.
Wow.
So he got suspended for 20 games. Then he had more improper conduct, culminating in he's going to find shortcuts to success. He was arrested for smuggling 6 kilograms of heroin into the United States.
Wow.
So yeah, he's kind of all over the place.
These guys are making Andrew Mount look like a
yeah, right? Exactly.
real stand-up star.
It gets a little tamer from there. But yeah, so he's going to keep things going. He's not going to slow it down. He's going to find ways to win.
Who else we got?
We've got Felix Breik as a left midfielder. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's a doctor of law, and he's also in UEFA's elite group. But you may know him better. You may know him better if you've seen the Ghost Goals compilation. He was the referee when the Ghost Goal Bayer Leverkusen versus Hoffenheim. Stefan Kiesling heads it into the left side netting, and there's like one string in the net that's broken. The ball finds its way through that into the back of the net.
Yeah.
So goal was awarded. So he's going to create goals from nothing. I think that's pretty important. Did you watch that goal in doing this research?
No, in doing this research, I have seen it in the past, though.
I gotcha. And then Tofik Bamarov. Does that name ring a bell? It should to you.
The Azerbaijani linesman?
Exactly, yes. Yeah. Again,
the best linesman of all time.
Another right winger who will create something out of, in my opinion, nothing. And that made Joe real mad. The sideline official in the 1966 World Cup who awarded the goal to England against Germany.
Yeah, hit the bar, came down over the line, 3-2 England, and they scored another one to make sure, 4-2 England. Sure.
2 other things that worth noting with him. I didn't realize that the official for that game was Swedish, I think. Bamarov is from Azerbaijan, I want to say. Yeah, so no common language. He basically, that's why if you watch the video, that's why he's like very emphatically gesturing that it was a goal, is because they didn't speak the same language, so he was trying to show through like action. Yeah.
And for the record, FIFA have since fixed that, right? Now you come in like a refereeing team of sort of all from the same country, or at least all speaking the same language.
And then up top, I've got Martin Hansen, who is a firefighter.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Firefighter Hunter Fisher, so he's a crafty striker. He's and he's going to go out there, get things done.
Yeah.
But most notably, he was the referee for the Thierry Henry France-Ireland handball.
Okay.
So he's going to find a way to make goals happen, or he's going to allow goals to happen, no matter what. He might occasionally get sucked into traps or clever ruses, but he'll keep working because he did contemplate retiring and ended up refereeing for a few more years.
All right.
So he's up there, and Howard Webb as a support striker.
I wondered when Howard Webb would turn up. Yeah.
Because he's not afraid to drop deep.
We kind of argued over Howard Webb, right?
Yeah, we did. We both wanted him. He's not afraid to drop deep, which I think you need as a second striker, which is to say that he was once demoted to the championship, and then he came right back up to the Premier League. He loves a dramatic flying kick, and will let that happen whenever it needs to happen.
Was he at Selhurst Park?
No, he was the referee for Spain-Netherlands in the 2010 World Cup final when Nigel de Jong kicked Xabi Alonso right in the chest, and he won't tolerate any jersey tugging or pulling. He'll kind of smack that hand away, as he did to Raheem Sterling. If you've never seen that clip, just search Raheem Sterling and Howard Webb. Yeah. It's amazing to watch.
I also know he's a former policeman, so he will patrol the opposition penalty area.
There we go. I like it. And final one, Kim Milton-Nielsen is the manager for me.
Oh, okay.
Danish referee from 1975 to 2005. Not bad. He will make the tough decisions. He's the one that's...
Tall guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bad haircut.
Yeah, they're all tall and all have bad haircuts, yeah. Who'll make tough decisions. He's the one that sent Beckham off in the 1998 World Cup.
Yes. I mean, that was the correct decision.
He won't tolerate any lip. No back talk from any of his players. He's the one who red-carded Wayne Rooney for sarcastically applauding his decision.
It was a second yellow. I remember this. Okay, brilliant.
Yep.
So yeah, he won't take any nonsense from his star striker.
He certainly will not.
So there you go. That's your referee starting 11. Mark, I hope you enjoyed that. Final thing on today's show is the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. People join the TSS Scouting Network by going to totalsoccershow.com/subscribe. You subscribe at any level, we give you a player to scout. If you subscribe at the $10 level or above, we guarantee to answer a question a month on the Total Soccer Show.
That we do, my friend. We've got 7 reports today. Up first comes from Matthias Boutin, scouting Balou Jean-Yves Tabla, 17-year-old Canadian midfielder for Montreal.
All right.
Balou became the youngest player ever to play for Montreal in their MLS history when he took the field against San Jose in Week 1 at the tender age of 17.
Yes.
He also got minutes in Montreal's 2-2 draw with Seattle. In both games, Balou showed positive signs, including quick feet and pace when dribbling.
We have seen that in action, right? Yeah, he really does have those things.
That we have.
I'm really impressed that he's like, you think of, say, Andrew Carlton, we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
He's not playing in Major League Soccer. Tabla's there already.
Not bad.
Okay, up next, Ryland Arnold is scouting Ben Woodburn, the 17-year-old Welsh forward for Liverpool. Young Mr. Woodburn made an extended appearance for the Liverpool senior team this past weekend against Burnley, subbing on for Coutinho in the 60th minute with the game level at 1-1. With Firmino out and Coutinho playing far from his best, Woodburn provided much-needed energy and enthusiasm on the pitch. Yeah, you burn wood, you get energy. Until Liverpool find more reliable strikers or attacking players this summer, it seems that Ben will be getting more time with the senior team. It also looks like a senior Wales call-up is on the books, though there is a chance he could still get a look from England.
Many options there.
That would be stealing, but I'm in favour of it.
I had a feeling you would be. Next comes Kirsten Mladinha scouting Briel Embolo, the 20-year-old Swiss striker for Schalke. This is not a good report. I'll say that up front. No. Embolo was well on his way to recovering from a broken ankle and a muscle tear and was set to resume full team training by the end of March. Unfortunately, he has suffered a serious setback in the form of a bone marrow edema, which is apparently fluid buildup in the bone marrow, and the club has confirmed he will definitely be out for the remainder of the season. Schalke signed Guido Bergstaller in the January window, but the path back to the first team is pretty open for Embolo. Basically, they have a lot of other strikers who aren't doing very much. As long as Schalke don't break the bank this summer, things are still looking good for Embolo if he's able to recover physically and mentally from this number of different injuries.
Oh, wow. Embolo was like one of the stars of the TSS Scouting Network early on. We're going to stick with him through this rough patch.
I believe is still Schalke's record transfer. Could be wrong on that one, but at the very least, they spent a lot of money for him, and unfortunately, he has been sidelined with injuries consistently.
All right, up next, Elizabeth Jolly is scouting Kylian Mbappe, the 18-year-old French striker for Monaco. Mbappe scored in Monaco's 2-1 win over Bordeaux on Saturday. Oh, that was on the TV when we came in. And now has 10 goals in 10 appearances. PSG also won their match, so Monaco remained 3 points ahead of PSG at the top of the table. Worst news, Falcao sustained a right hip injury in the final moments of the match, meaning he's a doubt for Wednesday's Champions League clash with Manchester City. But Monaco do now have their own emoticons cons known as AS Motorcons. So there's that.
Yep.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yep. Silver linings. Better news comes from Doug Chan, who's scouting Matt Miazga.
I remember Matt Miazga.
Yeah, it's been a while. 21-year-old American center back for Vitesse on loan from Chelsea. Miazga finally returned to Vitesse's starting 11. First-choice center back Michael van der Werf. That's my Dutch Belgianness.
Seems solid.
Yeah, re-injured himself, so Miazga started and finished Vitesse's last 4 Eredivisie matches, resulting in 2 wins and 2 losses, and saw his side through to the final in their KNVB Cup semi-final match against Sparta Rotterdam. The two sides met again this past weekend, and Miazga bagged his first Vitesse assist by setting up his fellow centre-back partner Garam Kaishia for the final goal in a 5-0 hiding. 5th place Vitesse next play 3rd place PSV, and Miazga is expected to start.
Ooh, I want eyes on that. That's a good game. That's a good test for Miazga, right?
It is indeed.
Okay. Next up, Victor Savage is scouting Ricardo Kishner, the 22-year-old Dutch forward for Lille on loan from Lazio. Kishner has appeared in only 9 matches for Lille this season, 7 starts. This is mostly due to a knee injury he suffered a year ago, followed by several other minor issues. Evidently, his knees are a well-known point of mockery over on Reddit Soccer. Regardless, his career is more than a little off the rails at the moment. I feel for these TSS Scouting Network guys who I guarantee otherwise we really wouldn't have paid attention to or heard of. But to get constant updates is a little bit heartbreaking. But again, we're going to stick with these injured guys.
Yeah, and we've got one, I'm going to say positive news to close out. Coming from Carl Getz, scouting Zach Clough, the 22-year-old English striker for Nottingham Forest. Carl has reprioritized his Forest scouting assignment ahead of the Honduras and Panama games because he's focusing on Eric Lehigh, the American defender. Nottingham Forest lost 2 games this week, 3-2 to Brentford and 1-0 to Burton Albion. Lehigh was able to contribute to the first goal against Brentford, and Zach Clough, we mentioned him, headed home the second in the 93rd. Despite the loss to Brentford, Lehigh was praised for his performance by the Nottingham Post, saying that his best work came when he got forward, but that he had a better night defensively than most of his teammates. So that's pretty good on both sides.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Burton Albion loss on Saturday didn't go so well for Lehigh. He came off in the 66th minute with a minor injury, and Carl has not yet been able to find any further details on his status for the weekend.
Okay, then. Well, that leads us very neatly into what's going to happen the rest of this week. As we've mentioned a couple of times, Bruce Arena's US men's national team World Cup qualifying roster is expected on Wednesday, March 15th. We don't know what time. As a result, we don't know when we're going to be able to review it. If it's out early, we'll have a review show out on Wednesday. If it's out late, I think we might take Wednesday off, do the review show on Thursday. But we're obviously looking forward to seeing the names on that roster. The 23 or 25 names.
I'm going to guess 25.
Yeah, 25 names on that roster. But we are about to switch into US men's national team mode here at the Total Soccer Show.
We are. My final question, though, is this one of the situations when you have to name 23 and you can't name 25? As in, could he name 23, invite 2 more, let's just say, for sake of argument, Timmy Chandler and Jermaine Jones, and then drop 2 players for injury, or can he just have that pool and then figure it out?
I think he can name a pool of 20. Like the US Soccer website can have a pool of 25 players, but what they submit to FIFA for the actual World Cup qualifier, I'm not sure how many days before the game, you can only submit 23 names there. But he can call up 25 players to all, come hang out and make fun of how old DeMarcus Beasley is and do various soccer drills.
I think Jermaine Jones probably shouldn't do that if he gets called up.
All right, Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we will be back as soon as there is US national team roster news.